Hi everyone, it's Sam, NFT Statistics with your Proof Daily NFT Countdown. I'm gonna get you caught up on the main stories that happened over the weekend. First though, let's just look at a macro update. What were volumes like? What happened with the floor price? The quick story is that volumes were pretty low. I think this was the lowest volume that we have had since mid-December. In terms of floor price, we were pretty flat. The large cap PFP index was down slightly. Codas were up, Doodles were up, everything else was down just a touch. If you look at where the volume was, again, it was primarily concentrated in those Bored Ape Yacht Club ecosystem collections, the sewer passes, other side, as well as the apes. This chart here looks at the percentage of volume that Bored Apes do relative to the entire NFT ecosystem. You can see that we're almost at 50% because over the past 7 days, because sewer passes and just the whole world has been quite pretty hot and a lot of volume there. Story number 2, Captainz begin quests. So what are quests? Quests are basically just a staking mechanism for Captainz in meme land. Remember, meme land consists of You Are the Real MVP is the top collection, then Captainz, then potatoes. The other thing that happened though, and I'm going to focus more on this, is there was a bit of a reveal, okay? Every Captainz went from just being a Captainz to turning it into one of these 6 types. You had humans, sharks, krakens, kongs, kaijus, and aliens. 90% were human, 10% were part of these grails. Now the humans floor price went down, but a lot of the grails sold at big premiums. A kaiju sold for 20 ETH, an alien for almost 19 ETH, and a kong for almost 15 ETH. You can see that often what happens when you have this reveal, and you go from having this optionality of being anything to being something specific, the floor price on that lowest tier falls. So you had a pretty sharp fall from 5 to even below 4 ETH. It's since rebounded back to about 4.4, but if you look at the unrevealed Captainz, so the ones that still have that optionality of getting a grail, they're still at 5 ETH. Now, one of the themes I love to think about is it in your interest? If you have something that's unrevealed, so 20% still have not revealed, should you go through the process of revealing it and remove that optionality? Now, I did a quick math analysis here, and the expected floor, if you reveal, is about 4.8 ETH. And that's based on the floors of all the different types and the likelihood. So kind of gets me to one of the themes that I often like to talk about is that NFTs often build in a gambler's premium. A premium basically, people like to take that shot at getting a shark, at getting an alien, at getting a kaiju, so they're willing to pay up a little bit. So in this case, the math says best not to reveal at this price, better to sell the unrevealed if you are looking for liquidity, just a small thing. Very curious to see where Captainz go. One of the things Potatoes did, which I thought was pretty cool, was they had all these different stages and gave you new art very frequently. I think we're seeing something like that. It's one of those things that 9gag does that just keeps anticipation in the game, and I think is always a good move for them. Story number 3, what was hot over the weekend? The first, and I keep coming back to it, but you have to keep coming back to it when so much market cap gets created every single day. The meme cards were just super hot. They were, the floor of the whole set, not the floor actually, median price per card. The overall set went from 89 ETH to 126 ETH over the weekend. So you can see here, it basically went parabolic. I think there are a few things that are making this strong right now. One is that you just get more and more top artists that are doing meme cards. They're bringing their collectors to the collection. That's more ETH, more people who care. 2 is that this concept of memes and 6529 is just resonating right now. And then the third is, this is one of the places that's dropping free money. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, not today, but most Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, they're dropping a new card. And the people who get those cards, who get those allow lists for 0.06529 ETH, and they normally 10x immediately. The people who get those allow list spots are people who already own the cards. So there's this mechanism here where you're more and more incentivized to buy more of the cards. So congrats to everybody who's been in that game. Now this is a CC0 project, and more projects are spinning out similar to that, and Seize the Meebs by Sergito has been another very hot one over the past few days. Sergito is a longtime Meebit holder, a community leader, and he basically minted this card here, which is a play on 6529 meme cards with a Meebit angle, and he minted these for 0.05 ETH. Okay, less than a week ago for 0.05 ETH. You can see that the price, the median price, has already gotten up to about 1.7 ETH. So from 0.05, less than a week ago, to 1.7, the floor is now 2.15. So this concept is completely on fire. He dropped his first NFT to holders of that original, manifest of that original Meebto Meebit card, and that drop is already up to near 0.1 ETH. I've spoken with Sergito. He's got a lot more coming. So this is, an interesting play on that seize the memes theme that's very, very hot right now. I talked last week about Lucrece, proceed with caution. Another thing that has completely exploded. When we talked about it on Friday, the floor was 0.12 ETH. Now, after Friday afternoon, what he did was he said that all blue NFTs that were in this 8,000 NFT collection, and they minted for 0.06 ETH, he said all the blue ones could be turned into another one of these colors. So I think you have a lot of people who are out there trying to get that full set or whatever they want to do. What you've seen is that the floor has risen to 0.25 ETH. Okay, so just incredible success. This is incredibly hot over the past week. Price was up 160% just over the weekend. Here is the progression of how the floor has moved over the past 5 days. It was at 0.12 last we spoke. Now it's at 0.26. Again, congrats to everybody there. Again, more to come. Lucrece, if you check his Twitter, he's teasing out more and more things coming. Not all going to be burns. Going to be some interesting gamification here. So curious to see what happens there. And then the last story I want to talk about is Doodles acquires Golden Wolf Animation Studio. What is Golden Wolf? It is a studio in the UK, and they do animation. They were Emmy nominated, events. They do all sorts of different creative aspects. They have been connected with Doodles before. If you go to their website, just Google Golden Wolf, you can see that they actually made a video for Doodles over the summer when Doodles was launching Doodles 2, at least the concept, something we haven't quite seen yet. The founder of Golden Wolf is joining Doodles as the chief content officer. I think this is pretty interesting. I broadly, I think clearly what Doodles' strategy here is to build a global brand. I think they want to have shows, TV shows, all sorts of things. And then the Doodles holders ideally are at the center of it. So I think this kind of goes in line with that. The team, the creative team, burnt toast. Everybody has just done incredible work till now. So very curious to see how this acquisition combination kind of evolves for the project. The floor has been pretty strong. I think over the past 2 to 3 weeks, we had a huge rally in the beginning of January, but the past week or two has been really a fall for most NFTs, but Doodles are still near the 3-month highs. So I think that there is a bit of anticipation and excitement around what's happening there. And then the last thing I want to talk about is just a few of the biggest sales that happened over the weekend. One thing I've talked about before is Nobody.eth is one of the whales that is out there making really big purchases. Zombie Punk, a bunch of apes. Well, he was at it again over the weekend. He bought this double merch Bored Ape for 194 ETH. Okay, now there are a couple things that are interesting about this ape. First of all, is it is serial number 5. Serial number 5. So it's one of the first apes that was ever minted. The first 4 are owned by the 4 Yuga Labs founders. The 5th, number 4 was owned by 0x Wave. This is basically, outside of those, the lowest number possible. Now, low serial numbers have not historically traded at a huge premium for Bored Apes. Serial number 6 even traded at a discount to floor once it accepted a WETH bid. So that hasn't historically been a grail trade, but we'll see what happens over time if you get more whales buying these. The second thing is you can see it's a double merch. It has a Bored Ape Yacht Club hat and shirt. Now that combination of traits, there are only 19 of them in the entire Bored Ape Yacht Club collection. They very rarely trade. The last trade that I saw on the chain, well, it wasn't since 2021. And historically, they have traded at about a 2.5 to 3x premium to the floor price, which is where this went today. So at first I thought this was a punchy price. After doing a bit more research, it makes a bit more sense. The second big purchase by Nobody.eth was he bought Otherdeed 56653, and he paid 2 Bored Ape Yacht Clubs and 340 ETH for it. So about 500 ETH total for this deed. Why is it such a grail? The reason is it's a 1-of-1 artifact. It has an artifact on it. Now, there are only 9 total Otherdeeds out of the 100,000 that have artifacts. I believe Nobody now owns 3 of them. But yeah, so these are extremely rare. They don't trade very often. You can see what they are here on this list, and the current floor for one is 1,250. So that was why I bought that. Just another huge purchase from Nobody. The The biggest sale in art blocks, another huge sale, was a Fidenza. This Fidenza sold for 145 ETH. Why was it at 145 ETH when the floor is in the 80s? It's this black color palette, quite rare. It was the most expensive black color palette Fidenza ever sold, but still it's a very unique look for Fidenzas. You can see the second biggest sale was 130 ETH, but still a very unique look, pretty cool NFT, so congrats there. And then the biggest sale on super rare that I could find in the artwork, the biggest sale I could find there was at an OSF piece, Nambe Yokocho. It's really kind of cool. It's got some of those goblins or those demons, kind of the eyes are popping. These images look a lot better when you see the animation, but it sold for 17.8 ETH. Now for an OSF piece, a lot of his pieces have sold in that 35 to 60 ETH range. So this was a little bit at the low end of the OSF range for whereas one of ones have been selling, but still a nice price. And from what I've seen in the art world, this was the biggest one of one sale that I could find over the weekend. So that's what I got for you now. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did like it, comment on what you think, subscribe to our channel. We'll be back every single weekday, except for public holidays, with your NFT daily countdown. Thanks so much.